Hello, and welcome to Old Toy, New Joy, the show where I share with you my previously enjoyed toys I purchased from online sources, thrift stores, and collector shows that once belonged to someone else. Every once in a while, a television show comes along that completely transfixes you and captures your imagination and attention for an hour or so. The first time this happened to me was in 1979, when I first watched Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, a Universal Studios revamp of the popular 1930s radio program and comic strip series, and their attempt to capitalize on the late 1970s science fiction craze started by George Lucas's Star Wars movies. I loved everything about this show, from the exciting opening sequence narrated by William Conrad of Kane fame, the catchy synthesizer with strings theme song, which had a futuristic augmented fifth yet disco feel to it. Stu Phillips wrote the theme song for Buck Rogers, and he also wrote the theme song for Battlestar Galactica and Knight Rider. The sleek white jumpsuits and the cool starships. The show only lasted for 2 seasons, but would live on in my imagination whenever I played with my Mego 3 3/4 action figures, which I received as a Christmas gift back in 1980. There were 4 figures that Christmas morning: Buck, Twiki, Tiger Man, and Emperor Draco, all of which unfortunately fell apart within the next few years. I was heartbroken, so you can imagine how happy I was to find these beautiful examples. So I found this Buck Rogers action figure about 8 years ago in a thrift store, hanging on the wall in a tiny baggie, buried in much newer, less valuable toys. And I had done a couple passes by the toy wall that day, and on the second pass, I just noticed out of the corner of my eye his little face poking through. And at that very moment, I knew exactly what I was looking at. I was very excited because my Buck Rogers action figure had fallen apart when I was about 7. And first the arms, I think, came apart at the elbow joints. And then the O-ring, which holds the figure together, dried out and cracked and broke apart. And that's exactly what happened very recently to this G.I. Joe Law and Order figure. The O-ring, which is just inside there, is cracked, and it's holding everything together. And this figure is from 1987, so it's a bit newer. So that's why it was remarkable that I found this figure intact, and it seems to have everything original. We'll take a closer look. He's not that yellow. Still got a lot of his brilliant white color. His little sidearm there. Shoulders are pretty tight. Most of the paint on his head. Very good find. As for these 5 figures, at any given time there are always a few Buck Rogers action figures on eBay for sale. And they're usually pretty expensive. But recently I negotiated a very fair price for these. And as you can see, they're all intact and in good condition. And the reason worth mentioning this is because the Mego action figures were more delicate than the other action figure lines of the late 1970s. Unlike this Kenner Star Wars action figure from 1978, this Mego Superheroes pocket figure from 1979, and this 1978 Battlestar Galactica figure, the Buck Rogers action figures had several points of articulation, and they had bendable knees and elbows held together by metal pins. And the pins would loosen over time, and the plastic components connecting to them would crack and break. And so those figures with fewer points of articulation had a better chance of surviving heavy play. Here we have the Draconian Guard. I did not have him as a child, There was also a Draconian Marauder starship. Take a closer look at him. He's, I think he's got his original O-ring, but he's a little flimsy, a little marionette puppetish. You know, when I hold these, they sort of handle like an antique. I know that if I started like playing with them, they break apart. So these, at this point, are definitely for display only. It's got a sidearm as well. That doesn't come off or anything, but it could break. You see them on eBay every once in a while broken off. And here's Killer Kane, Supreme Dictator of Earth, portrayed in the show by the actor Henry Silva. And he's got a bit of a purple, yeah, it's a purple color to him. His O-ring is stretched out. You can kind of see there. And this is Emperor Draco, ruler of the Draconian Empire, and portrayed in the television show by the James Bond Dr. No actor Joseph Wiseman. This figure originally came with a yellow robe. And although there are many custom vinyl versions available today on eBay, the original was actually cloth. But the vinyl ones you can purchase now for a few dollars resemble the vinyl robes with the armholes that you see on these Star Wars figures. Lando and Leia. And we'll get a closer look at him. He's very flimsy. He doesn't want to stand. Not too yellowed. His creamy outfit gets very yellowed over time. This one's in pretty good shape as far as the paint. I also had Twiki, Buck's robot pal, with the easily ruinable paper sticker on front, and this one's been pressed in. You could press it with your finger, and it was sort of hollow behind it, so your finger would go right through, and I think that's what's happened here. That happened to mine too, my childhood toy. And Twiki was voiced by Bugs Bunny voice actor Mel Blanc. And I had this figure, Tiger Man, an awesome looking figure, Princess Ardella's bodyguard, portrayed by professional football player and wrestler turned actor H.B. Haggerty, as well as Duke Butler, who played him in the pilot. Great looking figure. I loved with this one. This was, I remember he fell apart right away. I played with him a lot. And this one, you can tell that the O-ring has been replaced by a yellow elastic band, which is all stretched out. So I may need to repair him myself because he's very flimsy. And as far as the 3 3/4 toy line, because there was also an 8-inch line available, the figures I would still need to get are Dr. Huer, and then the ones I really want, Princess Ardella, and this one here, Wilma Deering. The actress is Erin Gray. I had a bit of a crush on her when I was a kid. She was also in Silver Spoons with Ricky Schroeder. But yeah, I'd like to get that figure. Difficult figure to get in great shape. Well, thank you for tuning in to Old Toy, New Joy, and allowing me to share my 1979 Mego 3 3/4 Buck Rogers action figures. If you liked the video, please like the video, and we will keep them coming. In the meantime, I do encourage you to visit other episodes of Old Toy, New Joy. There may be something you'd be interested in, such as Transformers, G.I. Joe, wrestling figures, Hot Wheels, comics, superpowers, Smurfs, Thundercats, Ninja Turtles, and much, much more. Until next time, this is your Toy Whisperer saying farewell from Old Toy, New joint.